Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for joining today. I'm Tara McCullum from the Art of Being certification, launching your holistic, purpose-based career. And so today I wanted to talk about something that not many people talk about, which is one of the foundations to creating a really successful business and knowing what kind of business that you want and so on. So, how do you know if you're in the right place? So, how you know if you're in the right place is, are you an astrologist or healer that is looking to create a career based on the unique gifts that you have in the world, and you want to utilize those, hi Jenny, in the world? And so today's subject is all about what is one thing that the world doesn't talk about in order to have a really successful self-driven business. And that is the ability to be intentionally selfish. And we often say that being selfish is really wrong and it's not good. But I want to tell you that selfishness is based off the ego. And again, the ego is something that we're told to release and get rid of. But here's the wild thing. The definition of ego is having a strong sense of self-worth. Why in the world are we telling people all over the place, from spiritual endeavors to psychological endeavors, to get rid of their ego, when that is the basis of our value and self-worth? I think it's because people have gotten it confused. Too many people's ego is based off of seeking approval, seeking to please others, and it is eroding the real sense of self-worth. And so they're not basing their value system on themselves. They're basing their value system on something external to themselves. It's how can I show up to make other people healed? You know, if we're talking about our niche right here, like if you're an astrologer or you're a healer, you're like, how can I help everybody else? How can I show up for them? What are their problems? How can I make sure that I'm helping them? Right? And then if they're helped, I feel good, right? It's putting all of that on the external. But if you're externally driven, that is just going to give out after a time. It's going to end up happening that there's not enough external praise or fuel to keep you going, because you're going to find that maybe somebody wants something out of you that isn't what you have. And then you're going to judge yourself because now you can't please them, or they're not giving you enough praise. And so now you're going to judge yourself because you don't have worth. And so I would say that we need to reevaluate and really go back to the basics and the reality that ego is based on your intrinsic, internal, unique self-worth, and that it is vital to create a personal relationship with yourself in order to know who you even are, right? Like, who am I? What do I want? What are my unique gifts? And some of those unique gifts are often the things that we silenced in the past because somebody judged them. And we were told that in order to be successful in life, you needed to have people praise you and approve what you were doing, instead of doubling down on the things that actually make you unique, and knowing that the people who are supposed to be touched by those uniquenesses will be pleased. So I'm not saying at all that from your uniqueness and going in and being selfish and understanding your self-worth, that you're not going to please people. I'm actually saying the opposite, is when you double down on those things, you will please more people and more deeply. But the cool thing is you won't just please other people. You will actually please yourself in a way that replenishes itself on a daily basis. So, like, a lot of people are like, well, I'm out because that seems too hard. Let me just help other people. I've seen myself do it all the way throughout my life. I've made people happy. But you can either do things the hard way in the beginning and have an easier time later on, or you can do things really easy in the beginning and you can have a really catastrophe of a time where you're broken down, your body stops wanting to function from you, and your relationships fall apart later on. So easy now, hard later, hard now, easy later. So taking the time to really build a relationship with yourself is key. And one of the things that I want to do is I want to ask you to just close your eyes for a second, to put your hands on your body. And I want you to ask yourself from the depths of your being, what are 3 key components to having a good relationship? Any relationship, it could be with a friend, anyone. So what are 3 key components to having a good relationship? Take another 3 breaths in and out, just as you ask that question, and then we can come back. So when you're ready to come back, go ahead and open your eyes. Tapping into the depths of who you are and asking those questions is really key. Now, what we tend to do is we tend to go, well, nobody gives me those things, right? They're not showing up in my world. It's not there. And what I want to say to you is those 3 things that you came up with, how can you be them for yourself for today? Just today, only today. And if you want to pick that up and value yourself tomorrow, cool. But for today, how can you do those things? And so in the chat, if you can, I don't know if you can, or you can unmute and just share if you want to share, what were your 3 things that you came up with?
Tara, I can share.
Yeah.
For me, it was presence, deep listening, and letting my spirit like be free. So just like bringing me to that experience, to that relationship.
Awesome. And so it's really wild, right? Because you're like, okay, so I know what that feels like. I know have done it for other people. And Tracy says love, trust, and communication. So I would highly encourage you to do the same exercise that we just did and ask how you can do each one. So break them apart. And, so like Tracy's first one was love. Your first one was, say it again. What was your first one?
Presence, like being fully present.
So presence, like, how can I be fully present with myself today? How can I be fully present? And then, you were talking about deep listening. What does that look like and feel like? And I don't want us to move into judgment, but it is paying attention to how we're not that, right? With ourselves. And then, yeah, it's life changing, right? And it hurts sometimes to realize. And then oftentimes that's what we attract in others is that same attitude. Like I can be so quick to judge myself and like, no, that's not like, I'll share for myself. Last night I was tapping into my muse, so the deepest parts of me, and asking. And then I got so pissed afterwards. I was like, all of your suggestions suck. like, and I was like, I don't want them. They don't function the way that I've been taught. And there was like this belief inside of me that the way that I've been taught is easy. It's going to create success. And what came up from deep inside of me is, how is that working for you? Is that really the truth? So would you be willing to try it a different way? Even this way that seems ludicrous. Like it seems ludicrous to us sometimes to listen to ourselves deeply and to value what the hell we have to say. Right? Like to actually listen, not just to the words, but to the sentiments underneath, to the vibrations, the desperation sometimes, the joy. Like how many times have we judged ourselves and we're like, oh my God, I loved that. And it's like, oh, that's so trivial. Like, why would you love that? Let it go. It's just not important. Like, that's not productive. And yet, listening to those moments of pleasure and doubling down on those is just as important as listening to the sadness or angst or frustration or desire to build. It's like if we don't value the things that bring us pleasure, who else will? And then how do we embody that for people who are going to be our clients? We're here that like, let me take you into a more whole or healed place. Let me help you to love yourself. But I want to show you how to do that. But don't look at me. Do what I say, not what I am. Like what is the saying? Do what I say, but not what I do, or something like that. Right. And and like I know the two of you who are on here, I know that you embody things. And this is where we want to move back from judgment. Anytime that our inner muse is asking us to take a step forward even more, it's just inviting us to more of it. So where can you go in and celebrate where you have embraced listening, deep listening, where you have embraced presence, and specifically with yourself, right? Where can you go in and celebrate that? Because when you can see, I even have $1 in my bank account, I can grow that. Like where you say, I have nothing, I have nothing. It's hard to say I can build on nothing, but we always have something, even if it's one moment that we did it. So I want to go back again and say, if you're looking to build a business as an astrologer or healer, it's vital to take care of your ego, to truly know what your sense of self-worth is, where your value lies, who you are that is unique or different from others or the same. And to take some time to be selfish. Now, I like to say you're centering in self, and you're actually filling up the self. That's what we're doing when we're willing to be selfish. Most people who are selfish in the world that we're talking about, like they're so empty. Like they're so empty, they're just grabbing anywhere. Like they're trying to survive, and then they're told that they're wrong for trying to survive, and so they never actually get to the place where they're self-filled. Right? We want to get there. Too often healers are here to help others find themselves and to support themselves, but they give themselves way too little time to do that for themselves. And so they're abandoning themselves in the pursuit of healing and helping others. And too often astrologers are so focused on what the communication of the stars and the planets are that they don't know how to integrate all of that beautiful, powerful information into the now. So there's too little time spent on integration into the now. I would highly encourage you to spend some time and use the gifts that you know that you have for others with yourself today. And to know that in doing that, you are building the strongest foundation you possibly can have to attracting your people and to creating unbelievable, miraculous success. I truly believe that people who are willing to be self-filled will out success the others because they will have success in more areas of their life and they will pull in the collective consciousness in order to create it because the collective consciousness wants to celebrate that. So, for anybody who's new here, one of the easiest ways to do that is to put your hands on your body like we did earlier. Close your eyes and breathe with the most important intention of connecting to yourself. The other things is just pausing and breathing. And anybody can do that. There's a million different ways out there. But when we breathe and even ground, if we don't center in on ourselves, we're actually bypassing the self. And that's why so many gifts and healing bypasses the self because we haven't centered in. So if you have any other questions today, do you have any comments or anything that you want to add? No, you're good. Okay. All right. I hope you have a blessed day and thanks for anyone else who's watching the replay. All right. I'll talk to you later. Bye, Jenny.